sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyiswa uphondo lwayo yizwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo
1981, 32 years ago. This was an entirely different space. For me, it was a frightening place. I'd come from Raglan for a couple of hours. We told my dad and my husband, I had 3 children, an 18-month-old, still breastfed. We're going for a walk. We'll be back in a couple of hours. He said, don't get arrested. Well, we marched up the street and we had good leaders. We came in because we trusted the organisers at that time. There were very few, they were secret, they knew what they were doing. We got to the fence disappeared. And suddenly there was a push from the back, we were about 10 rows back, and we were pushed on to the field. And my mother looked at me and I looked at her and we thought, what do we do now? She said, follow that cross. And I think it was Terry Dibble or someone running around with a cross and people trying to pull it off him. And so we ended up here in this field and we were about 3 deep. It was really, the people who were in the middle will know how tight that felt. We were there for a long time. And it was pretty scary. It's wonderful to come back tonight, just ourselves. And I know that probably in the audience there are some people who hopefully will have forgiven us for not letting them watch a game of rugby that day. I have talked to some of them, and some of them look at me and I'm not sure whether we have been forgiven. I've talked to police who, when the fence went down, they were standing there and were told to fill the breach. And on the other side of the fence was Donna Awateri with a loudhailer. Can you imagine that? Continuous, bombardment. So I'm not here to talk about all those things. All I'm saying is tonight we are here to remember a great man at a great time in our history, a person that has been farewell tonight in South Africa, in his own home area. We're here to remember him. We're here to remember all of those activists that have fallen along the way in the struggle for the same sorts of things here in New Zealand.
Racist rugby is a game that the Springboks came to play. So we marched to the call of Amandla. We didn't want them here to besmirch our country dear. So we marched to the call of Amandla. Amandla, Amandla. We marched to the call of Amandla. We were old and we were young, we were frail and we were strong, as we marched to the call of Amandla, not looking for a fight. We believed that we were right, as we marched to the call of Amandla. Amandla, Amandla, we marched to the call of Amandla.
Just what I tell you what, there's a much harder fence to pull down now than it was in 81. They've learned a few lessons.
Have you checked it out, Mindy?
I did this afternoon, yep. Just to say one other thing, that Mandela is, the funeral service for him in Kunu is beginning just about now, which is why we're gathering here at 8:30 on a Sunday night. But before that, 2 days ago, Honi Harawira and Hilda Helkout Harawira went to see Mandela. They had a meeting with the Mandela family and they went to see his body lying in state. And when they got there, Hilda did a karanga mate, that is a greeting to the dead, and Honi did a haka on the spot. So they really carried to Mandela a very unique kind of, a very unique New Zealand connection, and expressed that so well on all our behalf, and it was great that they were there.
Well, thank you, bless you, thank you, bless you. Thank you, thank you. Bless you, thank you. Thank you, bless you. Well, God defend New Zealand and all humanity for helping my people in the South Pacific. Well, they bombed the Rainbow Warrior, they bombed Murder. I thank you, New Zealand, for helping to stop their nuclear tests in the South Pacific. Why we're singing, thank you, bless you, thank you, bless you, New Zealand.
The last time I was at this venue was 25 July 1981, a day of infamy. But a day which ironically began an odyssey for me of such magnitude I had never contemplated lightly. The physical miles for me have been many, from Morocco to Moscow, South Africa to Syria, Botswana to Belgrade. A career path from Inspector of the Police to Member of Parliament, and business interests in Russia and the Middle East. But the greatest journey for me has been my personal development. From deep in the forest of police culture and distorted reality to the ability to see where I was wrong and where the system fails us. I lament that my former adversary John Minto was not selected to represent our nation at the great man. I lament that one of our nation's representatives at Nelson Mandela's last performance was in fact part of the collective agreement of Muldoon's cabinet, which in my view shamelessly and calculatedly used the 1981 tour to divide the nation on a predictable electoral outcome. So to this amazing journey I have had, I owe the Day of Liberation, the anti-apartheid movement of Aotearoa, which was here on the 25th of July 1981 at Hamilton Rugby Ground.
I wasn't going to speak tonight because I was actually in Molesworth Street, not in Hamilton. But I do have some messages of support that I'd like to bring from Miriana Pittman and Hone Harawira, who can't be here tonight. But can I say that as we stand beneath this full moon, and as I travelled here this evening, I heard that snow fell down on the pyramids in Egypt. That tonight is actually a very auspicious night as we lay to rest one of the greatest leaders that this world has known, Mandela. His leadership was infectious, and it infected us here in Aotearoa in ways that I, as a younger generation than those that have spoken before me today, can only express great gratitude for. As a young activist, we need role models, and the role models that emerged from the anti-apartheid struggle are role models that will be remembered in the eons of our country as Nelson Mandela is remembered in the eons of the world. Because of this struggle, I and Angeline were invited by Winnie Mandela and Nelson to South Africa to be trained as activists. And we had the privilege of meeting Fidel Castro, who I also want to honour tonight, because of his role in assisting South Africa in their liberation. and their assistance in training people like us in the Māori world to stand up for our rights. 1981 wasn't just about a Spring Bok Tour. It was about a renaissance of Māori rights that have actually reverberated thanks to the leadership of many of you on this field today. And I'm not just talking to the Māori leaders. Without the Pākehā support of Father Tibble and all of those others, we would not have made the gains that we have made. But there is much more to be made. I cannot live in a country where there is economic apartheid of the kind that we have in Aotearoa, New Zealand now, not South Africa, in Aotearoa, New Zealand. We must stop that. We must change that. We must return to the values that we know were right in 1981 and restore them in the hearts and minds of our lives now.
Ngosikeleli Afrika Maluphakanyisa uphondo lwayo Yizwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo